All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's Leaders Mic broadcast. I'm really excited about today's guest. Once again, my name is Carlos Charria with Cart Solutions. Wanted to introduce you to our very special and distinguished guest, Steve Kyle. He's the president of Babsco, which is one of the largest, if not one of the largest electrical distribution companies in the Midwest, I think in Indiana as well. And Steve's going to correct me if I'm wrong there, but he's going to elaborate a little bit more on the company, his background, some of his journey, what's gotten him to this place, and then also hopefully share some nuggets of leadership and what we could all take with ourselves for either our companies or within our own personal lives. Without further ado, I'm going to hand you the mic, Steve, if you don't mind telling us a little bit about yourself, introduction, and then just tell us about your journey, how you got to be the president of Babsco and where you're at right now.
Okay, that sounds good. Hello, everyone. Well, we started out, we're the largest privately held distributor um, in the area. I started out with combination of working production while going to college, and then I did get into sales, and it seems like I've been here a very long time, but I started out with the company in 2000. In 2016, the owner decided to sell the company, and they opted to sell it to the employees for an ESOP. So
Excellent.
from there, I had already been sales manager for a while, worked real close with management. At that point, I took over the company, and the owners stayed on. They stayed on until they got paid.
Of course, it happens.
We paid them off a little early. We paid them in January of 21. I took over full time. The previous owners opted for status quo for sales. They just basically liked where they were at. They liked how everything was run. They really didn't want to grow. I took the opportunity as very exciting because I saw what this company is capable of. And within the first couple of years, we have grown the company over 40%. It's not that I'm very smart, but it does help when you put in more inventory, the sales do go up. That's kind of an obvious.
As long as it's the right inventory, right?
That's right. That's right. So we did do that. There were some things that helped us along the way, and I have learned some things along the way. One of my first lessons was as a president in our first board meeting. I actually asked the entire board to step down, which went over like a lead balloon. During the board meeting, I think I was fired a couple times, and I kind of joked with them and said, "You need to do it now because when the meeting's over, I'm going to fire you."
Man,
So that went over real well. I People had been there forever because it was an older company, and it was mostly uh, yes people. They just agreed with everything that was said. And I want to grow, and I feel that we can be now that we're at this point. I had a 5-year plan that I think we can grow at least 10 to 15 times what we're at. And I put people around me that's going to challenge me, but also have the business background that I'm looking for. I initially went to it's basically like a board member search service, and I dialed in exactly what we were looking for to make the ESOP and everything the way it's supposed to be and the way it's supposed to be run from the board on down. And that helped very well. I've also reached out to some business leaders with backgrounds that I feel is very important to our growth, and they graciously accepted. So we went from there, and since then had a 5-year plan to uh, get to a point of where we could grow with a minimal amount of people because we are an ESOP. And for anybody that's not quite familiar with them, the employees, it's a great opportunity for them. They automatically, after so many years, become vested in the company and actually own stock in the company.
excellent.
So it's something that as a leader, you really need to be a cheerleader and make sure people understand the benefits that they're getting from doing this. And if we do well, they do well. And after 5 years, we have a solid group of people working with us, and they are very excited about the future. Actually, today we will be opening up our online store a year ahead of time. And last month, a little bit to do with the board, a little bit to do with business, but I probably wouldn't do that again the way I did it, but I opened up 3 new companies at the same time. We are Babsco, and now we have Babsco Robotics, which is a robotic franchise that handles Purdue and ITR robots that are cleaning, janitorial, but also service robots,
Interesting.
like where you go around for a waitress that goes around and serves your food and stuff, a hostess.
Hmm.
Have one of those actually in action at a local show today that's going around at the show and giving everybody drinks and stuff.
I've seen those at restaurants. My son loves them because he's like, "Oh, look, Daddy, look at the robot go by." I think the very first time I saw one of those, it was like, "Oh my gosh, this is actually happening!" Right? Because you think about it, you see it like in some sci-fi movies, or like the robots are gonna come serve you and all this stuff. But I did kind of see that. I was gonna ask you about that, so thanks for bringing that up, because as I was researching you and your company, one of the links took me to, and then I saw the robotics, and I was like, "Robotics? Wait a minute." So are you manufacturing them, or are we doing distribution? What?
We're doing distribution with those,
Okay.
with the robotics company. It is very exciting. It was funny, they have to test things out. So they tested the hostess, and the first time that she came into my office and said, "Here you go, Steve." And they had something for me. It was a moment. But they also have a butler that is also capable of having a lockbox, like for hospitals, to where you have a coded box where it'll take prescriptions from the pharmacy to the nurse's station.
Mm, yeah.
And they're also capable of operating the elevators by themselves and the whole 9 yards. So
Wow.
that's been very exciting. Our other company is Babsco Creations. That started out of need, actually. We wire spooler because we're an electrical supplier to electrical contractors and OEM companies. That we had a machine from like the 50s, and it broke down. And after several attempts, I said, well, this isn't quite working right. And so what I did is I connected with an engineer on a networking site called Alignable.
Hmm.
And he's actually an aerospace engineer that started a company by himself. We spent a year and a half designing and debugging wire spooler. And it turned out so well that now we have trademark on it. We're halfway through the patent process, and we're selling them also.
Oh, that's amazing.
We did a show in May, and before the guys were able to get back to the office, all of them that we had were sold. We're currently backlogged. One of our customers is GE Aerospace that's taking one. Our very first customer was Dassault Jets in New Jersey that does airplanes.
So are you focusing on like maintenance and repair in the aerospace industry? I guess that would be a
No,
good place for that. Or are you just, but that's where the customers are coming from right now.
that's kind of where they're coming from, and it's kind of funny because like Dassault, we put a page up on our website and kind of forgot about it because we were actually geared towards getting it online and going to shows and stuff, and they saw it on our website and got a hold of us and started talking and said that's exactly what we need, and they bought one. And within the next 2 or 3 weeks, we have some salespeople that are going out to California to meet with Tesla product manager. Kind of the same thing. They saw us online and they feel that that's the right product for them for manufacturing.
So do you have different sales teams for, like, you got, these are three different companies, correct? So do you have the same sales force working with all these product lines, or different, like, is each sales team working on their independent?
Well, right now with just starting out, it's kind of funny. I make jokes sometimes because I run all the companies. So I wrote up sales agreements for all of them between the companies.
Wow.
And I also did service agreements to account for any employees' times between the companies because
Yeah.
separate.
Right. No,
Yeah,
definitely.
this reason was the reason we did this was because for liability from the board, getting into different products that we haven't before.
Hmm.
Just a smart idea, but we have in the creations, we have the Spool Pro, and I'm talking with the company right now that by the end of the year, it looks like we're going to be bringing on our second product for that company. It's an automated tape machine for harness. So when they're running harnesses, they'll have a tape machine that automatically is taping them for them around
Yeah.
and everything else. And kind of excited about that.
Yeah. It's funny that you mentioned that. I actually interviewed somebody that he's the VP of Director of Business Development at an aerospace company. This is GMA Aerospace, and then he was telling me about like how they started off small, and like this is what they focus on is just maintenance. A lot of technical guys. And, similar situation. They had a situation very similar to what you just mentioned. The machine went down. They couldn't find it anywhere. So their guys, they just started like messing around, and they actually took them a while to build something very, and once they built it, it was like nobody else had something like that. So then they gradually started marketing. Very similar story, but just from that lens because like I did a tour when I walked into that facility. It was amazing. It was like all these different engineers and technical guys and all these different machines, and I was just amazed by it. I was like, this is insane what you guys are doing here. So yeah, so not only are they fixing aerospace, the actual parts for the planes, but then now they're also branching out into like, hey, we could actually make some of these machines and then sell them to other
Right.
companies that have that same need.
Yeah, and there must have been quite a need out there because without any marketing to it so far, we're selling probably averaging about 3 sales a month without doing anything.
Wow.
But that is going to change. So, and our last company, we're very excited about technologies, Babsco Technologies. Our thinking is we want to bring some of the manufacturing back, but like where we're located is in Elkhart, Indiana, which some people may or may not know is kind of called the RV capital of the US because they build a lot of RVs.
Okay.
And what we're doing is we're trying to diversify Elkhart some. With technologies, we're working on contract manufacturing sourcing. We've been working with a couple of tech companies in California. And then with our suppliers that we already work with that manufacture here in town, we are sourcing the materials, making the sales, and having local manufacturers build them. We currently have one of our items is it's like an AI assistant that records
Can you just okay.
it records all of your conversations and then gives you feedback on your meetings. It keeps track of your appointments. We currently have an order for about 30,000 of those. Yeah.
Wow.
And then we're also for another company, I think in San Francisco, we're currently sourcing parts for AI glasses.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that's going to be a big thing, especially with what Zuckerberg announced last
Mega,
week about with those new glasses. That was great. I saw that whole interview and I was like, my God, that's amazing.
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, that's the kind of tech that we're trying to get into. We've also connected with an open source humanoid manufacturing robot manufacturer here in the US. And we're currently in talks with them about sourcing the stuff that they need to make the robots with and then having humanoids made here locally. From what I'm being told, in the next 2 years, you'll go from robots here on wheels to humanoids that are walking
Yeah.
around.
Yeah. I have read many, many articles and have seen many, many interviews. It's not as far away as what we once thought that,
No, no.
it's right around the corner.
And I think AI is powering that quite a bit. So one of the things that we're doing as far as our business is we're currently going through every department and automating as much as possible with AI,
Excellent.
with stuff. We just switched to Oracle NetSuite in February, the ERP. And we've also connected, you might be familiar with the company Zev. They work with Amazon. They're currently building, we use AWS for our cloud,
Okay.
and they're currently building a data lake for us. And when they're done, it's supposedly connecting our Outlook with our ERP to where
Okay.
we can basically just work out of our ERP without looking at the Outlook. It'll be putting our orders to our system automatically. It'll just automate our emails. And with the business that we do, 95% of our business is automated.
That's amazing. And the fact that you brought up AI, and I think in either professional settings or even personal settings, AI is going to come up. I was at a barbecue yesterday and I was just sitting around, we're talking football, but then all of a sudden, like the AI conversation started. So it's a very exciting time, especially within the electrical industry, like with the amount of data centers that are going up, like
Yeah.
the amount, like we need more power. We need more electricians, folks that actually could do the job, because I think there's definitely a serious shortage on that. And all this is being powered by AI and everything that's going on behind the scenes of automation, whether it's that, whether it's marketing, there's just, it touches so many parts of our business and our personal lives that it truly is amazing. And that's one of the things that I love, is just kind of that forward thinking. I don't like to lag and kind of wait for everybody else to hop in. I'm one of those people, and I hop in.
Right.
So I hopped in, like I think it was like almost 2 years ago, within Amazon, they basically they told us, look, and we need to start restructuring some of the things that we're doing on the back end to automate. So let's make sure. So a lot of the different tools that we started playing around with, a lot of processes that we started automating. So hearing the fact that you're doing that is phenomenal, because you're at the forefront of it. You're already a step ahead of most businesses.
Well, I think people are gonna find that they're gonna be way behind if they haven't started looking into it yet. We're also very excited that Amazon has just opened up, I think, last week, a really big automated center here in Elkhart.
Oh
So
yeah.
robotics center that's very exciting.
Yeah, that we call those AR buildings, Amazon Robotics. Very familiar with those. You talk about being amazed. Once upon a time, Amazon, before COVID, they used to have like, open, invites for the public. They could go in and do the full tour of the facilities and things of that nature. I don't know if that's still being done. I think they limited it a lot, obviously, during and after COVID. I think they're doing virtual, tours, but it's nothing like seeing it in person, seeing all those robots go in and out, and it's like, oh my gosh, this actually happens. Yeah, it does happen.
Yeah, it's been very exciting to watch it. I mean, that's a huge complex over there.
That's great to hear, Steve. Let me ask you a question. Based on all the different things that you got your hands on, that you're working on, obviously a lot of exciting things going on with Babsco. Like, if you had a magic wand, what is the biggest pain point or opportunity or something that you would say, you know what, if I could fix this is and it could be in any of the three businesses, or it could be something that you could probably maybe focus on one business versus the other. I don't know how you're splitting your time, but is there one thing that you would say, man, like, here's my magic wand, here's what I would do to fix that, or here's what I need actually.
I think with the biggest thing that, because it's been a long haul with putting everything together, but I think my biggest pain point had been that our data was not completely clean when we moved over in the new ERP. So there is some definite maintenance that we've been having to clear up and uniform all of our information. I mean, that if somebody's looking at going into a different business software, and I changed it over from, I think, the last time they made a change was in 96. And then with Epicor, and then Epicor basically dumped everything into a new system that I did a couple years ago. And that was a mess. And trying to not only grow, but then have to take time to fix stuff, I think has been a very big pain point for us. Has slowed us down.
Yeah, that's something that I think I've experienced. Most of us have experienced it, like in a prior company. Like I had the same thing. We switched from one system to the other, and it is a pain. My brother works for Boeing, and they're actually going through something similar on the back end. He does parts management, inventory, and it's a lot. It's a lot, and it's that rough patch. But once you get, and then you have all the folks telling you it's gonna get better. It's gonna get better. Don't worry. You're not gonna deal with this anymore, and it's kind of like that light at the end of the tunnel that you're constantly going through it, and you have to go through that pain, but yeah, it will eventually get better.
Yeah, I mean, I think Friday I was walking down the hallway and I must have had a resting face on, and they said, "Everything all right?" I said, "Yeah, just a little tired. I would definitely like a win right now." You got so much stuff going on. Please, please get through without trouble.
Oh man, yeah, that's definitely give me something, some good news, please. Don't give me no more problems to solve.
That's for sure.
That's why in the weekend I asked my wife, you plan everything, you do everything. I don't want to think. Whatever you want to do, like I'm game for.
That's kind of where we are.
Yeah. So listen, so it sounds like Steve, like you got a lot of really, really cool projects working on the behind the scenes and at the forefront. Obviously, I do love very interesting, like the little the robots going back and forth because I've seen them, and I think that those things are definitely going to be. We're going to see a lot more of those as things start evolving and in different industries, not just in the restaurant industry. But I think that that's something that's definitely going to carry over, and it's going to it's going to definitely change many and disrupt many industries out there. So
It's gonna affect quite a lot of places, I think. Not gonna have to. I think what they do is, there. I don't know how many jobs will might be lost by it. You're still going to have people for that industries. AI is still up in the air, though. It kind of blew me away the other week when Salesforce came out and said they cut like 40% of the people for because of the AI. But I'm trying to use it actually for the good to help the people that we're working with.
yeah, yeah, I think a lot of times the companies misphrase it, and it's more of automating certain tasks that are repetitive or a waste of time, and then
Right,
augmenting using that time that you've given back to some of your staff and getting them to upskill their levels and do something different that's more value add for the business.
right,
It's not so much to, hey, we're going to replace you. No, it's like now we could have this tool, AI, help us automate this. It frees up your time, which now you have the time to do XYZ. That's going to help. It's going to enhance. It's going to enhance your development, and it's going to enhance the company. It's going to help us grow, et cetera, et
right.
cetera. So it's augmenting our workforce as opposed to replacing that. And I think a lot of companies and a lot of times folks like misunderstand, oh, I'm going to get replaced. You can get replaced if you don't if you don't kind of upskill. If you're not willing to say, I'm going to get rid of this repetitive task, like you have to be able to kind of also retool as an employee. And I think a lot of the majority of folks out there do want to, kind of get away from the grunt of doing the manual, the repetitive task and do something a little bit more value add. So it's all in how we phrase it with our teams, but the culture is always a big one. It's always a big one to try to shift steer that ship. And when the culture has been set, and it's like, wait a minute, now it's like little things that you have to do here and there to make sure that that change is actually for the better. So, which I'm sure you're going through right now with your new system. So I'm sure you've had some folks second guess you. Are we
Yeah,
sure we did the right? Like trust the process.
yeah, that's for sure. Right.
Yeah.
That's some feedback.
Yeah, for sure. Steve, if I could leave just one last question, I guess if you could help our audience, like throughout your experience, your career growth, what's happened at Babsco, what's been the one lesson learned, something that you could, you know, or advice that you could give a young entrepreneur or somebody up and coming into a company or like a visionary, somebody that's getting that maybe just got it put into a position of authority, like any words of wisdom or advice that you could share with our audience?
I think the biggest thing that I've learned, I don't know how short of answer it would be, not to stay level headed and to be able to see all sides of a situation and not become zoned in on a problem to where it become overwhelming. I think that has helped me immensely is when people are talking to me and there's several people, going on, or if there's a problem and there's all kinds of stuff going on, just try to see every side of it. And I've always learned that being nice is better working with people than you're not going to get much work out of people if you're derogatory or barking orders. Everybody's included. I treat everybody like we are a team, and I think that's my biggest thing.
Excellent. Yeah, that's great. Great advice, Steve. Really appreciate that. And then I guess for the audience out there listening, and in terms of Babsco, like babsco.com, BABSCO.com is the name of the company. I'm sure if they want to get a hold of you somehow, they'll probably go in. Is there an email address or something,
But
the contact
yeah,
us?
we have
Yeah, okay.
everything up there to get a hold of us. And like I said previously, we're opening up the store today. I think Google's still working on sorting out to bring us up higher, but that's just real easy. Shop.babsco.com too.
Excellent. Love to hear that. Love to hear the stories, the growth, the opportunities. Very exciting times at Babsco. Really enjoyed the time, Steve. I appreciate it. If you don't want to stay on for 2 minutes, a little bit afterwards. Having said that, everyone, thank you so much for joining us on today's episode. We appreciate it. And special thanks to our guest of honor here, Steve Kyle from Babsco. We really appreciate your time, Steve. Thank you.
Thank you.